Hey guys, I'm E-House.
And I'm Andre.
Welcome to another episode of SpeedSim, where today we're taking a look at the EMG Salient Arms and Smith & Wesson licensed M&P kind of VTAC. I mean, it's got some of the elements of the VTAC style one, more on that later. So this is what we're looking at today. Now, Andre was the first one to shoot this, and since this is a first impressions video, which often in Airsoft are nothing but praise because everything's usually fine out of the box, but...
Yeah, so kicking things off right from the start is, so right out of the box, I've already noticed some issues. First of being, I've shot this thing already 5 times in the span of 3 or 4 weeks I've had this, and the first thing that I noticed when I went to go shoot it, the slide would lock up. Not necessarily meaning that the slide lock would engage, but it would just lock up, it would just stop for some reason. It won't go back into battery. And I always had to slam the back of the slides to get it back into battery and shooting. But every time I did that, it would lock up again. So I kept hitting it and hitting it and hitting it every single shot. It wasn't just once or twice, it was every single shot I had to hit the back of this. And so when E-House just showed up, we went to go shoot this, and the first thing that he noticed was that the lube that they were using, we were going back and forth trying to figure out what kind of lube it was. And it turns out we're thinking it's something like a seal lube, like something like air seal lube that you typically find like a gearbox or something like that. Because it's very sticky, very coarse. It's not really slidable. It just kind of just stops everything in motion.
If I had to describe what it feels like, it's almost like if someone spills a soda and you let it sit out for a day or two.
Right.
It almost feels like honey, like sticky type of thing.
Very thick. So what we ended up doing was we just did very quick field, stripped it, and put some murder oil on it in medium, not the heavy one or light, it was the medium, just in between, something just really quickly, and that seemed to fix the issue. Now, personally, and E-House included, we would think that right out of the box, just field strip it and clean everything out, because whatever lubrication they were using is not good. It would just lock up the whole gun itself. So just field strip it all the way down, take some Q-tips and your cleaning materials, completely strip it down, and then re-lube it with murder oil or just regular silicone.
Yeah. If you've ever cleaned an SKS and you've had to clear out the Cosmoline, basically you want to do that with this.
Right. But everything externally feels fantastic. The trigger reset's a little bit of a limp noodle. It's kind of not really great, but it does
to be
the job.
fair, the real M&P isn't known for its fantastic out-of-the-box trigger either, but this one, really, you notice it when you're shooting it.
Yeah.
The reset has very, very little feedback, either audibly or in terms of a tactile feedback. Right. It's just very small amount. So
externally, you guys have the Salient Arms traded slide with the regular polymer M&P style lower frame, and it does feature day-night glow sights?
Okay, so these sights are weird. They're kind of a clone of the Viking Tactics style sight, which is why I kind of mentioned VTAC when I mentioned this M&P, where the top is a day fiber optic sight, and the bottom is meant to be like a tritium night sight. Okay. But on this, it's obviously not tritium, it's just a lesser fiber optic on the bottom, and the top fiber optic really isn't that bright.
It doesn't work.
No. So
like I said, I've had this for 4 weeks, and I was doing it in bright sunny day, and this was not lighting up. You can't even tell that it was green barely. It was so dark, it doesn't function. I would rather have seen them not make it true to the 1-to-1 of the real
and do
M&P,
some white sights
and just do some regular, like what UAC does. Even though it doesn't look true to like real steel, it actually works. That's what I would have liked to see in our mat.
Yeah, but again, this is coming in at a premium price point. I mean, this is like, what, $150, $160 gun?
$180.
Yeah, okay, $180 gun. And what you're getting is these sights that, I mean, the Armor Works pistols come with better sights.
Right.
And this just feels like, you know, when you're riding on that M&P name with the Salient Arms, Kyle Lamb shoots a Smith & Wesson M&P from Salient Arms, and I think he would shake his head at how poorly you replicated his sights. Shame on you. One of the other things that I noticed with this, I've owned a WE Toucan, WE M&P, and comparatively, the slide release is kind of slick and kind of really recessed. So the slide release is kind of a pain. Now, it did break in just a little bit even while we were shooting it, but again, out of the box, it's kind of tough, and I can imagine if you're wearing gloves, like, because I wear mechanics gloves, it would be really tough. So you'd be better off power stroking it, which you can do.
Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah.
So upon shooting this guy, the range and accuracy was all right. I mean, it's nothing compared to like my race guns or anything like the Armor Works. Even Armor Works is doing a lot better than this guy right here. The Armor Works pistols right out of the box shot better than this M&P pistol right here. With the Armor Works, it was already tuned to 0.25 gram BBs. With this one, it wasn't adjusted or anything like that. And 2.5 is all right. You can hit it, but not as good. And in terms of cyclic rate, very slow, and that most likely has to do with the oil that was used on here. So it's very slow and sluggish. I'm sure that if you were to field strip this all the way down and completely take all this lube off, it would do a little bit better, but it's still way sluggish. They could have done a little bit better on the recoil spring. With the cyclic rig on the slide, even with the ports cut out to make it lighter, the cyclic rig is not really all that fast, and many of you guys won't even care about that, but that's what, in the terms of what I've noticed when shooting it, could be faster. It could do a lot better. It just feels very sluggish when you're shooting it.
Yeah. Well, and one of the big things that I think contributes to a couple of the issues you were having is because I've owned the FNX for a long time. Now, two major things with the FNX are that the recoil spring is a little bit sluggish for how heavy the slide is. And also, for the range, the hop-up bucking that VFC/Stark Arms/Cybergun/EMG uses it.
Everybody.
Yeah. But the VFC hop-up buckings in their pistols are not very good. The UAC buckings and the Tokyo Marui style buckings luckily are compatible. But again, for $180 on this pistol, it's kind of disappointing that you have to spend more money to replace that. And talking about parts compatibility with this pistol, that's where we hit another roadblock. There's not much aftermarket support for this M&P style pistol because the Tokyo Marui and the WE M&P have a lot more aftermarket parts support. The VFC/Stark Arms/Cybergun/everybody M&P does not have a lot. Now, there are some OEM parts out there, but again, this is the experience I'm having with my FNX right now. Finding the OEM parts you need in stock is not very easy, and good luck getting Cybergun to respond to your emails if you want to contact them directly. The issue that you're going to run into is when something breaks in this gun, you're going to have to really beg, borrow, steal, or just watch to find the parts that you need, versus with the Tokyo Marui M&P, with some of the other options, there's a lot more part support, and there's a reason why I've railed on part support in the past in articles and what, because it's important.
Very important.
Because I've got my FNX down right now, I can't find the parts I need. I've got a Milsim West game coming up next month, and if I can't get my FNX up, I'm going to be pissed. And that might be the experience you have with this M&P, especially if it sits long enough on the shelf and that seal grease gets into the O-rings and the hop-up bucking and ruins those parts because it can interact negatively with rubber if, again, it's the grease that we're thinking it is. I don't know. It just feels like there's a lot of points where they drop the ball on this guy.
I mean, it's all nice and dandy. You're paying $180 for the Salient Arms thing. That's what you're paying for. You're not paying for quality, and that's a shame. And speaking of parts compatibility, this is proprietary from what I've read online. There's not a lot of parts that you can replace with UAC. UAC has a ton of different M&Ps, triggers, blowback units, nozzles, nozzle springs, everything that you can imagine for M&P for Tokyo Marui/WE, do not have for these. It is completely proprietary. So again, like Eric said, good luck finding it in stock.
So I mean, I guess really the bottom line with this is it looks gorgeous.
Fantastic.
I mean, the looks of this gun are absolutely breathtaking.
If you're into the Salient Arms train that everyone is on lately, fantastic. And
if you're building a Kyle Lamb impression loadout, you could put a TLR-1 or X300 on this and have yourself a beautiful looking M&P clone. But it's just, it doesn't skirmish well because right out of the box, it's got that issue with the lubrication. It's got the proprietary parts issues, and one of the biggest design flaws with the Stark series of pistols that I want to point out right off the gate is there is a spring that holds the hop up and the inner barrel. I'll zoom in on this together, or the hop up and the outer barrel. That spring is tiny and it will break on you. It broke on my FNX. And like I said, good luck finding it. You might have to try to modify a trigger shuttle spring to work, and that may or may not work. So again, really dropped ball in terms of some design aspects, and that wouldn't be a big deal if there was any OEM part support. So this is just, it's one of those cases where if the gun was better supported on the aftermarket, it would be fine.
Yeah, great.
If the gun was better designed so that it didn't need more aftermarket support, it would be fine. But it's a combination of factors that just mean I can't really recommend it.
No, definitely not. Not for $180 at least.
No.
So, with everything said,
just kind of a disappointing episode today.
right,
Just
it's kind of a
it's
sad moment.
Yeah, I mean, it could be so cool, but just a lot of missed opportunities.
Right. But yeah, overall, guys, take this with a grain of salt. And thanks for tuning into this episode of SpeedSim, where we take our first impressions of the Salient Arms M&P pistol.
Yep. Stay tuned next time for hopefully something a little more exciting.
Right. Thanks for watching, guys. My name is Andre.
And I'm E. House.
Have a good one.
Peace.